Boys and girls, this is Benjamin Bokchoy. Welcome back to the first episode of Dirty Driving 2023 Track Extension Edition. So, I believe this week the divisions got all reset. I'm pretty sure either that or my profile got glitched out. But I'm back down in bronze, and it's another like 50 days until the divisions are reset. So I think that's what happened. So everybody's in bronze. I had to drop down a license level, so we are in a B license level, I believe, right now, because we have no contact for the first lap, and we can only use the default setup. So we are at Singapore this week. The tracks this week are Singapore, Netherlands, and Austria. And I was actually really happy to not race at Austria, thinking I don't have to deal with track extensions, but yeah, you'll see in a little bit. So we are in P1 currently right now, no contact, like I said, so everybody behind can just ghost through us. Trying to save as much battery as I can, but I realized that we need to get ahead before the ghosting starts, or the ghosting ends, I should say. So we need to at least be in P1. So I'm going to use up a lot more battery than I normally do. If this was just regular A license lobbies, I wouldn't use quite so much battery, as the guys behind wouldn't be able to just drive through us anyway. So we're going to be a little bit more liberal here with our DRS or ERS deployment, and hope that we can stay ahead once the ghosting continues. So drivers behind actually doing a pretty decent job of staying close to us here. Actually, everybody's doing a pretty decent job. P5 is 1.5 seconds back, so but he is on the softs, we are on the mediums, and the guy behind is on the mediums as well. So it looks like 3 guys on the mediums leading the race right now, with 2 soft drivers in 4th and 5th, although they're kind of changing back and forth. So right now it still looks good. We're about to come back to the start-finish straight, and we are still kind of in P1 right now, switching with the driver behind us as we go through certain corners that can be cut. But again, let's keep the salt to a minimum here. So yeah, end of lap 1, and we managed to stay out in front. So it's looking good for us, even though the driver behind is managing to stay close. And as you can see, taking the more optimal line. It's something you will see for the rest of the race as well. So we have a bit of a moment coming out of that left-hander, but we still managed to stay ahead, going down to the first, well, actually technically the second DRS straight, even though DRS isn't enabled. We are using a little bit of battery right now. I'm still trying to extend from the people behind, so I'm not using it to defend specifically from P2, but I'm still trying to just extend. And then P2 goes off wide and just decides to dive it down the inside like a complete moron. So I was like, fine, we'll let it go, whatever. We'll just keep an eye on him and see what his pace is like. So it kind of just stayed like this for the majority of the race here. I'm not going to bore you guys with watching 9 more laps of this crap. So the soft driver behind us pits first. I pit on the next lap, and then the idiot driver pits on the next lap. Big Daddy Ray there. So we are currently in P2 now, as Neerids gets the undercut on us, but we do have the soft tires, and I've been kind of stuck behind him. He's been having some issues through certain corners, so I've had to stop or brake a little bit earlier to not run into the back of him, just because he's been having a few moments. He does get, we do get DRS here, but I wasn't quite sure if I wanted to try the overtake. He's kind of sitting in the middle of the road here, and then I thought, I'll just back out and try my luck again next time. So we go in side by side here for some reason, and then of course idiot driver shows up and decides to dive it right down the inside and then drive into us on exit. So here's the replay here. We're already under braking. I'll let you listen to the brakes. And then as we go side by side, he kind of just swings his wheel to the left and drives us off. So I took all my energy to not drive into him again, because Neerids was still in P2 here, so I didn't want to just destroy his race as well. But if Neerids was in there, boy, I would have just taken that idiot in P1 out. But we kind of lucked out. He doesn't win either, because as we come to the final lap here, and we come down this second DRS straight, for some reason we lose connection. So I was like, oh yay, all right, that's cool. Even if we can't win, at least this moron won't win. So but yeah, everybody's ghosted out, and I don't know what happened here. Obviously lost connection, the host or something like that. Everybody's getting kicked out of the lobby here. But yeah, I was steaming, and thank God I didn't have the camera because I was flipping out. I was like, this fucking moron just driving off track, passing off track, and then just sending it in every fucking corner like an idiot, like he thinks he's fucking Max Verstappen or something like that, except Max Verstappen can actually drive. But yeah, moral of the story, drive like a dick, you don't get the full benefits of the win here. So nobody really gets full points. I think I got, I'm surprised I didn't get kicked out of the lobby here, but I think everybody kind of just got stuck in their own lobby, and I ended up getting 14 points for this win. But yeah, it was kind of an aggravating race, being stuck behind that idiot the entire race, considering how he got by us. So but like I said, he didn't get the full points either, I don't believe. So whatever, we got 14 points here, and I guess if you're going to have that kind of race, let it be the first race of the week before you gain any points, so that you don't end up losing points if you get a DNF or something like that. I think if you DNF from a race, you lose like 50 points in the division standings. So yeah, that was the first race. Kind of set a negative mood for the rest of the day, but I decided to jump into some more ranked races anyway, and prayed that they were a little bit better than that first one. So race number 2, we are at Zandvoort, and there's only 3 people in this lobby. We qualified on pole. There were like 6 or 7 people in the lobby, and then right as the lobby was about to go into the race, like 3 people left, and then 1 guy quit out of qualifying. So here you go, lap number 1. This is as close as anybody really gets to us here. We almost get taken out going into the carousel here. It did break a little bit early, but I thought my tires were a little bit cold, but I forgot when you're in like B licensed racing, there's no tire temps anyway. I had to do a lot of lift and coast towards the end there because we were running out of fuel. Even though low fuel mode doesn't mean anything anyway, you can still hit 8th gear. So that was the entirety of that race. Really nothing going on. That was race number 2 at Zandvoort, and yeah, probably these are the most boring races when there's such a small lobby and you win by like 30 seconds. So we are going to jump to race number 3 of the week, another one at Zandvoort, and by this point I was already begging to race at Austria, because I was like, at least Austria is like kind of fun, even if people just make their own lines throughout the track. So again, this is the first race that we aren't in B license, because we got to select our own custom setup. So we qualified P4. The setups, just the front wing and rear wing are 2 clicks lower or 3 clicks lower than time trial. So we should have straight line speed, but we'll suffer a little bit through the corners here. So 5 red lights, and we actually get a pretty decent start here. We're about to get side by side with the driver in P3, although P2 here kind of stops a little bit earlier. We get hit from behind, and during the race I wasn't sure if I ran into the guy in front of us. We did get a collision warning from the guy behind, but during the race I wasn't quite sure. So the replay will show you here, we actually did get hit from behind, and that sent us into the driver ahead. So apologies to whoever that was, I didn't catch the name there. Yeah, it was the guy behind. So we get control of the car right into a corner there, so we kind of drive off the track. But ladies and gentlemen, this is the reason why you should never quit races. So even with the mess that's about to happen in this race. So we are dead last right now. We are caught behind these 2 guys who look like they're pad users, judging by their racing lines. They're just way off. They keep going way off the racing line. One guy just starts driving on the grass and stays on the grass, and then we gain a position there. So we are now P10. We are behind this renegade bug guy. I don't know if he's got front wing damage or he's on the controller. You can see that left right movement, those little quick bursts. Another guy goes off track there, and we gain another position. One more guy off track. So we are now up to P7. Yeah, okay, so that was the 3rd guy. So we were up to P7 here, about to come into the pit lane to change up. So I wasn't quite sure if this guy was coming in, but right at the last second he comes in as well. So we have to like slam on the brakes and not hit the back of him. We didn't change the front wing option. I don't know why it isn't set to just always change the front wing, especially when you've got like that dark yellow damage. So we come in, we change the tires, and I'm like, damn it, we didn't change the wings. So we have to go back into the pit lane again. So here we are. We are pretty much dead last again. The only person behind us is this guy that's DNF. It's a Revolution. So luckily for us, we come out. Kenty on the right there has DNF'd. We gain another position. We are up to P9, but we got a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane the second time we went in. So that was kind of a pain. We pass one more guy in the pits. Renegade Bug there. So we move up to P8 now. And Route 1 was 9 seconds ahead as Jordan Doe gets a DNF, and we gain one more position. So now we are up to P7. So yeah, never quit your races because you never know what's going to happen. So we finish P7 right now, 5.5 seconds behind Route 1 in front of us on the hard compound tires. He probably made the smart decision, but I thought the hards were just a little too slow. So a couple laps later, if we take a look at the 2 yellow dots in Sector 2 there, one guy gets driven off. I don't know what happened. I didn't see it, but obviously they were battling through that corner there. So one more guy gets knocked out of the race there. Nana Coco retired. So that will be one more position for us. You'll see him dropping down the leaderboard there. So we are now up to P6. We finally caught up to Route 1 on the hard compound tires. And I don't know if he's on a pad or not, or maybe he's just kind of a newbie on the wheel, but he is kind of slow here. He looks like he's a new driver. I didn't want to overtake here. I wanted to wait for the start-finish straight, but I figured if we didn't overtake here, we'd probably lose way more time going through the last few corners. So we just turn on the overtake and we get by him there, luckily for us. And I just hope that we were quick enough around these last few corners here that he wasn't able to stay close enough through the penultimate corner to take advantage of DRS and get by us again. So, and as we come to the start-finish straight, the guy that hit us on lap number 1 is DNF'd on the start-finish straight. I don't know what happened, but there's carbon fiber there, and he's in the barrier. So that is another position. We are up to P4 now with Kiki 6.5 seconds ahead. And as we come to the end of lap number 9 here, Dirty McBee jumps into the pit for some reason. I thought he must have started on the softs and just kept on going, but was just kind of slow there. So I was like, oh, are we gonna be able to get by him in the pit lane? So as you can see, he's the yellow dot right there. He's just coming to the end of the pit lane right now, and we do manage to get out in front of him. And I was like, oh, he's gonna be super quick on these new mediums. I hope he doesn't come out right behind me because I wasn't sure what his pace was going to be. But luckily for us, he actually somehow ends up behind Route 1 on the hard compound tires behind us. So not only is he going to be on cold mediums, but he's stuck behind a much slower driver. We're not going to catch the leader, El Taco Man, ahead there. We've had to do 2 pit stops, and he is 33 seconds ahead right now. So I think even if we didn't get taken out on lap number 1, he would have won anyway. He just had really good pace, but who knows? He always had the benefit of fresh tires at every point in the race, and right now we are on 9-lap-old mediums. So Kiki is 3.5 seconds ahead of us right now, and I was counting down the laps. We've got about 7.5 laps left to go. We're still carrying the 5-second penalty, and we're 3.5 seconds behind Kiki right now. But as we come into the end of Sector 2 here, he must have made a mistake as the gap has now dropped down to 1.2 seconds. So obviously we don't get DRS here. But he is using battery as the gap is now extending down that DRS straight there. So he is using battery to try and stay ahead of us. And as we come around this corner, is he flashing? He is flashing. And we are at 30%. So any of you guys that play this game know harvesting battery at Motherboard is really, really difficult as there are very, very few hard braking zones. So on the next lap here, we managed to catch up to him, and he still has no battery. And we've only gained about 3% battery since the end of last lap, and I don't think we were using any battery either. So I think we ended the last lap at like 28 or 29, and we are only at 33 right now. So we get DRS, we use overtake, and I was like, God, please don't do anything stupid. But luckily for us, Kiki, he does kind of squeeze us a bit there, but he lets us by pretty cleanly. He sees that we've got the 5-second penalty anyway, and there's only 5 laps or 6 laps left to go. So I think he thought better of trying to defend too hard. So now we have a task ahead of us. We need to put 5 seconds on Kiki before the end of the race, and we're only half a second ahead of him right now. So if he manages to stay within DRS, we are boned, and he does at the end of that first lap here. Once we got ahead of him, he does manage to stay in DRS. So it was a bit difficult, but on the next lap, we are at 1.2, starting to extend that gap a little bit. I don't know how old his tires are. I think he pitted early with us at the beginning of the race. But I think we do have 1 lap newer tires because we had to pit again. So start of lap 16, we are 1.5 seconds ahead, and we've only got 3 laps left, 2.5 now at the start of lap 17. And I was like, geez, we're only going to be able to finish P3 here. We only have 2.5 seconds to Kiki. But as we start the final lap, now the gap is at 3.6. I know he's got no battery left. He's probably been using any battery he gains through any corner, which isn't really much. So he's probably been at like 3%, 4%, and then 0% for the last 5 or 6 laps. That's what I'm thinking anyway. As we come to this curvy section of the track right after the carousel, we are 4 seconds ahead, and I'm sweating because I don't know if we're going to be able to pull 1 second from here to the end of the race. But I'm just hoping that Kiki starts to panic a little bit and makes a mistake. So just about to come to sector 3, the leader has finished the race 36 seconds ahead of us. He was really quick, and then all of a sudden the gap goes to 5 seconds, 5.6 seconds, and then it's 6 seconds pretty much. So he made a mistake. He must have been sweating just as much as I was, but we managed to keep our cool and extend that gap. So 6.2 seconds, started P4, went to the back of the grid, had to pit, went to the back of the grid after we pit again, and we managed to come back and finish P2. And boys and girls, this is why you never quit a race. You never know what's going to happen and where you're going to finish. So that's it for the first 3 races of this week. Boys and girls, if you think I've earned it, feel free to leave a like, comment, or subscribe. Stay tuned for more. Remember to eat your bok choy, and I'll see you all in the next one.